In this training session, we're going to cover the prognostics of the Allison Generation 5 transmission. Let's talk about the Allison Advantage. Your Allison Automatic is fully electronically controlled. The Allison Electronic Control Package oversees the operation of the transmission, controlling transmission upshifts and downshifts, and providing important information on the operation of your drive system. Basically, what that statement is saying is the Allison transmission will adapt to the driver. So, for instance, we'll say driver A has driven the coach for the last 2 weeks. Transmission shifts perfectly for him. Driver B decides to drive the coach, or is assigned to drive that coach, and he notices between the second, third upshift, it either slams into gear or it doesn't shift like it should. After he drives for about an hour, the transmission itself will actually adapt to his driving conditions, and he won't notice that anymore. It'll actually drive perfect for him. It'll drive the way it should. That's just because Allison's going to adapt to that for the fuel economy. Now, also with the Allison transmission, something that you should be aware of, if you're in a colder environment, if the fluid inside the sump tank or the oil pan is 20 degrees or less, the transmission will only have third gear. And it does this to protect itself because the fluid is actually too thick to go into the solenoids to shift. So that's one of the things the transmission will do to protect itself from being damaged. As the world leader in medium and heavy-duty commercial transmissions, Allison Transmission continues its ongoing improvement initiative with the introduction of the 5th generation electronic control shift selectors for model year 2013 Allison 3000, 4000 series models, and the TC10 and TS model. Below the pictures, you'll see your Generation 5 TCM to the left and the older style for your Generation 4 TCM. Please note the differences. All 5th generation electronic control shift selectors feature easy-to-read graphic displays that show both text and symbols. For the mode button, Allison Automatics offer primary and secondary shift schedule modes to enhance performance of fuel economy. The vehicle always defaults to the primary mode. You can switch to the secondary mode by pushing the mode button. Prognostic features. The wrench icon will illuminate briefly after you turn the key to the run position on your Allison-equipped vehicle to indicate the prognostics are enabled. If the wrench icon remains on or flashes, this indicates there is a service issue relating to the clutch filter or fluid life. Some of the features that you can access using your transmission shift selector would be your oil life monitor. The status of the oil life is displayed as a percentage. For example, oil life 100%, until fluid is due for a change. Your filter monitor, the status of the filter life is displayed as oil filters okay, and alerts when filters are due for a change with the icon would actually show up, replace filters. Now we'll go over accessing the prognostics. When you're alerted via the wrench icon on the shift selector that a service is due, you can check the status by toggling through the shift selector display as follows. Be sure to park the vehicle on level surface, shift to neutral, and apply the parking brake before accessing prognostics through the shift selector. For a push button shift selector, simultaneously press the up and down arrows 2 times. The percentage of the fluid life remaining is displayed. Again, new fluid life is shown as oil life 100%. For filter life monitor, press the up and down arrow 3 times. Acceptable filter life status is shown as filters OK. Unacceptable filter life status is shown as replace filters. To access your transmission health monitor, press the up and down arrows 4 times. When Trans Health OK is shown, clutch maintenance is not required. When Trans Health Low is displayed, clutch maintenance is required. And in this slide, we will go over how to reset your oil life monitor. Press and hold the mode button for approximately 10 seconds while in the oil life monitor mode. For the secondary method, perform the following shift sequence with the ignition on but the engine off. Do not stop the sequence for more than 3 seconds once you have started. The sequence would be neutral, drive, neutral, drive, neutral, reverse, neutral. To reset your filter life monitor, press and hold the mode button for approximately 10 seconds while in filter life monitor mode, or you can use the secondary method. Perform the following shift sequence with the ignition on but the engine off. Do not stop the sequence for more than 3 seconds once you have started. The sequence again would be neutral, drive, neutral, drive, neutral, reverse, neutral. And just a general note, transmission health monitor must be reset using Allison dock after correcting a clutch system issue. On the Generation 5 Allison transmission, the transmission fluid cools, lubricates, and transmits hydraulic power, so it is important the proper fluid level be maintained at all times. If the fluid level is too low, the converter and clutches do not receive an adequate supply of fluids. If the fluid level is too high, the fluid can aerate, causing the transmission to shift erratically or overheat. Now let's go over how to check your fluid levels using the Generation 5 transmission push pad shift selector. To enter the oil level function, first you're going to have to park the vehicle on level surface, shift to neutral, and apply the parking brake. You never want to try to check your fluid level while the coach is in motion. Using a push button shift selector, simultaneously press the up and down arrows one time. The fluid level reading will be delayed until the following conditions are met. Engine must be at idle. Transmission is in neutral. Output speed must be 0. Fluid temperature must be at operating temperature between 140 degrees and 220 degrees Fahrenheit. The vehicle has been stationary for 2 minutes to allow the fluid to settle. The shift selector displays the oil level data as follows. Correct fluid level, the fluid is within the correct fluid level zone when OK is shown. For low fluid level, the display shows the number of quarts the transmission oil is too low. If you had high fluid level, the display shows the number of quarts the transmission oil is overfilled. For instance, trans oil 3 quarts high, telling you that the transmission has 3 quarts overfull. Delayed fluid levels. If the fluid level check cannot be completed, one of the following oil level display faults will be shown. For instance, settling could take up to 62 seconds before the oil is settled. Engine RPMs are too low or too high. That you don't have the coach in neutral. Your oil temp is too low or your oil temp is too high. Your vehicle speed is too high, or you have a sensor error. To exit oil level function, push any range button once to get back to the main menu. The transmission control module, or your TCM, of your Allison automatic monitors the transmission's electronic controls, and when a problem condition is detected. It will restrict shifting, illuminate the check trans light on the instrument panel, register a diagnostic code. If continued illumination of the check trans light during vehicle operation, other than startup, indicates that the TCM has signaled a diagnostic code. In this slide, we'll show you how to access your diagnostic codes using your shift selector for the Allison transmission. First, bring the vehicle to a complete stop, apply the parking brake. Never try to see what your diagnostic codes are while the coach is moving. For your push button shift selector, simultaneously press the up and down arrow one time. The transmission fluid level will be shown in the display first, followed by the prognostics and the diagnostic code. Up to 5 codes may be recorded in memory. Each code remains in the display until the mode button is pushed, then the next code is shown. Active codes are shown first, newest to oldest, followed by the inactive codes still in the memory. For an example, if you look to the top right corner, you'll see a code P0730 is active. When I was to pull that up, that would actually tell me that that code is an active code. An example for an inactive code would be towards the bottom, which would be P071D, and that is an inactive code. Now, those codes could be changed, where your P0730 could be an inactive code. It's all going to depend on what's going on with the transmission at that time. To exit the diagnostic code function, any of the following methods may be used. For your push button shift selector, simultaneously press the up and down arrow or press any range button. Or you can wait approximately 10 minutes and the system will automatically return to normal operation mode. Or you can turn off the vehicle engine ignition switch, and that will also take you out of that mode. So in conclusion, we covered the prognostics of your Allison Generation 5 transmission. We saw how to check the fluid levels using your push pad shift selector, access health life monitor, your filter life monitor, how to reset your oil life and filter life monitor, and access stored codes that may be in the system, active and inactive. And this is going to conclude our training. For questions regarding this webcast, please contact ABC's Technical Service Department at 877-427-7278. Listen for the prompts for coach technical support and select the appropriate option. Support is available at this number 24/7.